sometimes it's possible to quote unquote cancel somebody just by ignoring them. And so, I don't know, let that be a lesson that if nobody would have paid attention to that event last night with that knucklehead, it's possible 20 people would have showed up. And so sometimes, it's worth just kind of taking a step back and saying, like, well, what's the best way to deal with something? And sometimes the best way is to ignore. And that can be really awesome. So that's the first thing I want to say. The second thing I want to say is, as much as some of you may just feel really annoyed at the fact that, your student fees, some of your student fees are spent on certain events that you don't agree with, just know that pretty much most any event that you agree with, and you're happy there's a speaker or the event or whatever it is, and the student fees are spent on that, there are other students who think that's a really bad idea and are unhappy about it. And it might even be something that you feel like is just sort of a given, like somebody's coming to speak about combating hunger or something. I don't know. It seems like pretty politically neutral and not really a big deal, but there are people on campus that would feel like, hey, I don't want to spend my student fees on that. So some things that to you might seem like to some of us, might seem like a no-brainer. Like, it's a really bad idea to take this money that we're forced to contribute and spend it on this or that. Well, everybody feels that to some degree. And largely on a lot of issues, this is just what it's about, right? Even you look at something like the debate over abortion or a woman's right to choose, or however you want to frame it. People are really unhappy with what happened in Texas, but for decades, there have been a lot of people who are really unhappy because of Roe v. Wade. And so it's like, okay, this is the nature of things, right? This is how life plays itself out. And this is how we get around wars and fighting and battling. It's like we see what it is that we're up against, and we all come together and we put our different points of views in the middle of the room, and then we hash it out. And we just come to some kind of, levels of agreements. And that's kind of what it is. So, yeah, I don't know. I just want to say that. Okay, let's do top head, and then let's start. Dude, hopefully this works. Is it working? All right, man. Dude, nice pants. Bro, get a shot of his pants, man. And the shoes, with the shoes. On yellow. There we are. You gotta put your shoes up there, dude. Damn. You got it. All right. All right. So, here's what we're gonna do. First off, we're just gonna have this conversation, and I am going to, let me put this up actually, it'll be better, and I'm gonna walk through how I see these, This isn't really a sociologist, but how I see these. And these can get really complex. On one hand, they're kind of simple, but on the other hand, they're complex. And what are we talking about? And it's all convoluted, and it's this and it's that, and it's like, ugh. And I have a framework that's pretty simple, and I think it's a really good way of talking about this and seeing it. And so I'm going to invite some students up. We have some volunteers. But in the meantime, I want to explain. We're going to start with sexual orientation, to go to gender, and then go to sex, right? So what I'd like to do is, I'd like to have two volunteers. One is someone who's gay, like gay and not bi, like straight up gay. Can I say cisgender gay? Are there any volunteers? Anybody who's like, yeah, I'm gay, and I can just roll that out? And you don't have to talk, by the way. All you got to do is just sit in a chair. It's pretty simple. I know there are a lot of you who are gay, man or a woman. Anybody? Dude, seriously? What? Everyone's sleeping in from protesting? Dude, you can take that seat right there. And then can I have a straight woman who's just straight up straight? You're never not going to be straight. You're never going to be with a woman. Anybody. It could be anyone. Dude, are you on? All right. And so this is really fun. I'm looking forward to this. Wait, so what's your name?
Lexi.
What is it?
Lexi.
Lexi? Okay. Lexi, who's straight. And bro.
I'm Juan.
Juan? And you're gay.
Yep.
And you're not bi, you're straight up gay. Okay, that's important. You will see. Okay, so listen, the two of you. You're just, so Juan and Lexi, okay? So don't feel awkward. You're here just sitting, because I have to, somebody has to be in a chair, so like in order to do this. Okay, so now, we're talking about sexual orientation. It's like, Lexi, let me ask you this, for example. When did you first realize you were straight? I said you weren't going to talk, and now I'm asking you to talk, so. But that's a pretty easy one.
I feel like I always knew that I liked boys.
You always knew you were straight?
Yeah, I don't think there was a certain point where I was like, oh, I'm straight. I think I just always knew.
So as far back as you can remember, and did you ever question it at some point?
No.
Did anybody around you ever question it?
No.
You didn't
it
have
really
any,
wasn't talked about where I was growing up.
Uh-huh. Okay,
it was
so
really
it's just
like
okay.
a given.
Dude, so by the way, that's a question that straight people don't ask themselves nearly enough, right? Has anyone ever asked you that? When's the first time you realized you were straight?
No.
Yeah, I mean, straight people don't ask that question very much. We ask it of people who are gay, which is what I'm going to do with Juan right now, but a lot of times, straight people just don't ask that. So, Juan, how about you? When did you have the first inclination?
I got like in eighth grade.
8th grade?
Yeah, pretty much.
And was that thoughts, feelings, just something?
Yeah, just like realized I was attracted to men, like that type, like purity, that kind of stuff, like that kind of time.
Uh-huh.
I got like that when I realized, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And when you say you realized, it was just like an inner knowing.
Yeah.
And when did you
like physically, I guess, yeah.
When did you come out?
Like to my parents or like to the...
Yeah, to anybody. How about to yourself? So in 8th grade, you came out to yourself?
Yeah.
And how about to anybody else?
Like in 9th, 10th grade.
Uh-huh.
Like I started like telling people.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Was your family cool with it, by the way?
Yeah. It's like a process, but yeah. It's getting there.
Dude, cool, man. And you didn't have any coming out kind of thing because you just was like, whatever.
Yeah.
When did you have your first boyfriend?
14.
14? All right. Awesome, man. Dude, when did you have your first... Can I ask you that question?
Yeah, for sure.
I can ask you that question, but, whatever, right?
Yeah, like 18.
What time?
18.
Or 18? 18. All right. So, okay, so listen. And you were like, you're attracted to men, like you're never gonna be with a woman, you're just gonna be with men, and that's kind of how it is, right? And there's no
Yeah.
question about that.
Yeah.
And same with you, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
You're both gonna be with men. All right. And could I invite someone down who identifies as bi? Anybody who's bi in here would like to come down? Dude, anybody? Seriously? No one identifies as bi? Wow, I'm really surprised. So many people identify as bi. Oh, yeah. Okay, come on. By the way, we already have our volunteers today, but this is awesome. Okay. God, I just love this, man. Do you know how, like, when I first started teaching, I could never do a class like this. Nobody would ever step up. All right, what's your name?
Sophia?
Sophia. And you identify as bi.
Yeah.
Okay, so listen. So here, this is a continuum here, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if there's anybody else who's bi, who you realize, oh, wait, hang on, I want to add something to this, feel free to come down. But, okay, so here's Lexi, who's straight up straight. And here's Juan, who's straight up, who's gay up gay. All right? Got it? Where are you on the continuum? This is here we are halfway, right here.
Probably about here.
Uh-huh. And what puts you there?
Well, penises are kind of weird, man.
All right, okay. So listen, I will agree with that. My wife always says this, by the way, can I just say? That
Sure.
It's just so weird to have an appendage that's just kind of hanging off your...
Yeah, it's just out there.
I know,
Like,
man.
put it back.
I know, dude. I know. God, I so feel that. Oh, man.
I would disagree.
You would disagree? All right. Very well. Okay, well, we're on the same team, man. Okay, but here. But why? So you feel more, you lean more toward being, we're just going to stay with it, toward being with women than being with guys.
Yeah.
Have you ever, and I'm going to ask you these questions, so I don't mean about sex, intercourse kind of stuff. I'm not asking that. But have you ever been with a guy, have you been with a guy and a woman?
Yeah.
But in your experience leads you to say, no, I'm going to kind of go down here.
It depends on the person for me, really. It's not about
Okay.
gender
Okay.
all the way. It's more so like, do they have good hygiene? Do they like the Beatles? Are they funny? Like,
All right.
that's
okay,
the stuff
got
I
ya.
care about.
All right. Okay. And that's very funny, by the way. Yeah. Do they like the Beatles? Okay. Do you see yourself shifting at all? But hang on, I want to go back to something. But if you just right now said, now mind you, do you have people in the in the gay community, gay or lesbian community who struggle when you say I'm bi?
Not really.
Uh-huh.
I don't know, like, I just joined Cutie Pock, so that's like the most, like, I've seen of, like, my community.
Uh-huh.
I come from a pretty conservative place,
Uh-huh.
so I was like one of 2 people that was out in my school, so
Uh-huh.
I don't really know.
Uh-huh. Okay. Because people in the bi community, it's like people who are mixed race or mixed ethnicity or whatever, you're always like being asked to join. Like either go this way or go this way, but being in the center is really difficult, right? Because people can't make sense. They want to make people want to make people into a binary. So given what you said, that it's kind of based on the person, well then, hang on, so come stand right here. So that would put you right here. It depends on the person. You might meet a guy, so straight, you might meet a guy who's just like, oh my God, I just fall in love with. He has good hygiene, he likes the Beatles, and he's really funny.
That really ticks all the boxes.
Yeah, it does indeed. But you also could, but you said you leaned here. So I'm just wondering what it is why you would go here if that's the case, that you are just kind of open, waiting to see. And I'm not pushing you in a box, I'm just wondering.
I don't know. I think like out of most people, I tend to be more attracted to women. It might be a maturity thing at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like girls get more mature faster,
Yeah.
and guys, well, you know, sometimes they got body odor.
Dude, sometimes guys don't know most guys don't know anything about being sensitive and just about sex, man. Oh my God, please.
There's a lot to learn.
Dude, oh my God. Men, can I just say one thing really fast? Slow it down. All right.
That's great advice.
Oh God, Jesus. Okay, so anyway, all right, so what we're talking about right here is sexual orientation. So we're asking Sophia, what is your orientation? And she's like, well, my orientation is kind of, I'm here in the center, I'm bi, but I would lean this way over here, right, for a wide variety of reasons. And one reason might be that, just bodies and maturity and all sorts of things, right? Okay, got it? So this is what we're talking about with sexual orientation. It's like, what's this inclination? It's not about, what we're talking about with sexual orientation isn't about like romance. I'm not asking about romance. I'm not asking about you falling in love. I'm not asking about all these things. What we're really talking about here is who are you just drawn toward in a sexual kind of way? And sexuality is complex, right? So I'm going to ask you, like for a guy, who are you drawn toward immediately simply means like who do you feel this physical energy to be drawn toward, this physical energy in your body? Because that's what for men, it's much more like that. For women, and you can weigh in on this if you want, it's like if I say who are you drawn toward, it's just like, it's not just your body, it's like your heart, your body, it's like attraction is multidimensional.
Absolutely.
So if I say to men, sexual orientation for Sophia here, or wait, hang on, Lexi, as women in women's bodies, it's a little bit more complex in that way, okay? But for guys, if I say, what's your sexual orientation? You know, it's just very kind of unidimensional. It's, because what I feel. When I feel aroused, that's what I'm drawn toward. But arousal for a woman is much more, just more three-dimensional. Would you agree with that?
Sure.
Juan, do you have any idea of that? You ever talk to women about this?
I guess like that's why I knew like faster, I guess, because I guess I'm more drawn to men than like to women.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, for sure, like women are like more like they put more into like the arousal part. Like there's more behind that than just like the physical attraction, I guess.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's like, oh my God. And my wife used to come into class, and we did a class on kind of the sociology of sex and sex roles, and she titled it "The Needy Penis," and it was really cool. It was a really cool class about the differences in the ways men and women approach sexuality and so on. Okay, so do you see yourself as being bisexual kind of forever, or can you imagine it? I mean, you're really young, so.
I think sexuality is fluid.
Yeah.
I thought I was a lesbian for a long time.
Uh-huh.
And finding out that I liked boys was more of a shock than finding out I liked girls.
Uh-huh.
Because, no offense, guys, but oh man.
Yeah.
Middle school was rough.
Yeah. I would say, by the way, most people, if we really gave ourselves to it, I think that most everybody is bi at some level, right? You're either going to be down here and be bi, or be down here and be bi. But if we lived in a culture where homosexuality, meaning same-sex relations, were really okay, and like, it didn't really matter, and we were socialized from a really young age, which increasingly, by the way, we are getting there. And as we are getting there, we are finding that more and more people, the percentage of the population that identifies as gay, lesbian, or bi, or one of any other kind of queer identities, is increasing as society just becomes much more open and tolerant and whatever we want to say about whatever the issues are. Because trust me, when I first started teaching 30 years ago, we would never have this conversation, ever. If in a semester I got one single student ever to identify as gay, and many of you do because, you're on the volunteer form as identifying as gay. So it wouldn't happen. But the idea is that as we open up more and people just can open themselves a little bit, just like you identified, you thought you were really a lesbian and then kind of surprised you that somehow you found yourself open up to men in some way. Well, the vast majority of us can go in that direction, can float back and forth. The vast majority, right? We probably have an initial orientation one way or the other. So like Lexi or like Juan, we have kind of an orientation, but in any moment, you just open your heart up and you can just be. As many of you know, because many of you have friends who have tried out, had one or two experiences, just like, hey, I want to just try that out and see what it is, and so on. Okay, cool. Yo, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, the two of you. Yeah. I think I'm done. Thanks, Sophia. Yeah, appreciate it. Hey, give her a hand, by the way. Why don't you hold there for a second, okay? So this is what we're talking about with sexual orientation. It's your general orientation toward, just who, it's not only who your heart goes out to, but who you're just your general kind of arousal goes out to. Okay? Heart, arousal, everything. And again, for men and women, it's going to be a little different. And men, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, God help, I hope you're gay then, because the women in your lives, who in your love life are going to be very unhappy. All right, so listen, let me go to gender identity. So do you mind, can you just hang here for a second? You're good? You're all right, bro? All right. So look, gender, life, this is a sociological concept in a way, gender. And very much it is. So human beings, as society gets more complex, we have division of labor. So you got to, some people do some jobs and other people do other jobs. The way people dress, the way they talk, the things that they do, the things they're allowed to feel, the things they're allowed to say, the places they go. I mean, one thing after another, right? So if you go back and see there's this fundamental distinction, and the distinction is between Lexi as a woman who is biologically this being that we call a woman, okay, biologically. And Juan is biologically this being that we call a man, okay? And so there's these two, it's binary, okay? Man, woman. And as different cultures evolved, different cultures just decided, hey, there are some things that this human body, these people that have this human body should do and should be allowed to do. And there are some things that people who have this human body should do and be allowed to do. So therefore, there are going to be certain jobs in society, certain tasks that have to get done, and the people with this body are going to do those tasks, and the people with this body over here are going to do the other tasks, and the people who have this body are going to dress a certain way, and they're going to put certain things in their hair. They're going to wear their hair a certain way and dress a certain way, and maybe they're going to wear paint on their face. They're going to do any number of things. And people who have this human body are going to do other things. And why didn't they just all do the same thing? There's no need to make a binary. Just bring them together, and they're just like men, women, and they're exactly the same. Some cultures did that. There are many cultures around the world. There wasn't much of a distinction between men and women, between this body and this body. It just didn't matter. And in this culture, the United States, right now, gender identity, it's becoming increasingly fluid. I mean, how many of you, look, if we had been at Penn State 60 years, I had a neighbor who graduated from Penn State, and she was here in the late 50s, early 60s. And women at Penn State, you would never have worn pants at all. If you're here, if you have pants on, you wouldn't have been wearing trousers or pants here at Penn State as a woman. Like, you just didn't do that. So you couldn't do that. It wasn't part of it. So like the gender identity, women wore dresses. Even in a place like Penn State, not that long ago, men didn't wear dresses. Women wear makeup. Women can wear makeup. Men don't wear makeup, one after another. But in this culture, things start to get more fluid. And so like, there are a lot of women in here, you're studying to be, engineers and like these, what were typically the male professions. And there are men who are going to be elementary school teachers, right? Like, let's say Juan wants to be a kindergarten teacher. Years ago, that would never have happened, but now it happens. And so things start to open up in terms of gender identity. It's much more fluid. We float back and forth with it. That's not true in every culture today. There are many, we did the class on hijabs, and we were looking at Arab culture and hijabs. And it's like, there are many cultures where the gender identity is really pretty strict still. Like people with this body right here, Lexi's body, do certain things. And people with Juan's bodies are allowed or asked to do other things. And that's just the nature of it, right? That's how it operates. And that's the gender identity. This is the sociological piece that comes in this. Like, what do you do and how do you do it? And you can go one way or another. Like, Juan today can dress like this, and tomorrow could decide, hey, I'm going to do something completely different. I'm going to go to my classes. I'm going to wear makeup. I'm going to do signs, just whatever it would be, right? And things that would be typically more in the past associated with women. Although today you understand that becomes harder and harder in this culture to identify. Like, what is it that's associated with women? If he wants to come into class in a pink jumper, dude, like you with your purple pants, no one's going to say, dude, would anyone say anything to you if you showed up in a pink jumper?
No, I don't think so. Well, I hope no.
No.
They better know, like.
No, but they probably wouldn't, because nobody would care. It wouldn't matter. There'd be all sorts of things, right? That it just wouldn't matter. And when Lexi comes to, you come to class in like overalls, you know what I mean? Do you think anyone would say anything?
Probably not.
Like what would be men's work boots and overalls?
Oh yeah, they'd look at me weird.
Yeah. I don't think anyone would look at you.
Probably.
Maybe.
Probably.
Yeah. Well, it depends if your boots had like manure on them or something. You know what I mean? Like you came out off the fields. But you see this, right? This is what we're talking about with gender. So gender, quote unquote, in this sense, is a fact. But it's really fluid in a culture like ours, where people are just bending stuff. I don't know what's a man's, we're fighting over the fact that, like, Lexi, like, if she wants to go be a supervisor on a construction crew, let's say, that, let's say you're an mechanical engineering major, and you get a job with a big construction firm, and you're going to be like the supervisor on the, wearing a hard hat and shit. There are going to be a lot of men who are going to look at you in a way and think you don't know what you're talking about. You don't have any experience. They're not going to want to listen to you. And that's going to be this gender role obfuscation. Like, so it's still happening, but much less than in the past. Okay? And if Juan decides, hey, man, I want to go be a kindergarten teacher, there are going to be some parents that are probably going to feel somewhat weird about having a young man as a kindergarten teacher, just because they are. I don't know, or any number of things, right? Like, you're going to be whatever it is, right? Okay, so you see that. That's what we're talking about with gender. So now, let's go to sex, biological sex. So, Lexi biologically has this body, which so earlier it was the feminine and the masculine. Again, those are these terms that are just like floating together. I don't even know, again, we don't know what's feminine, what's masculine at all. Like, I don't even know anymore. You know what I mean? Are we there? We're all good? So now Lexi's got this body that we associate with a woman. And as a woman with a woman's body, she has certain reproductive parts and just has a woman's body, man. Juan has a men's body, including, as Sophia kindly pointed out to all of us, the male appendage that hangs out, right? And so he has that, he's down at this end. You don't get more man than right here. So you don't get more woman than right here. This is it. Okay? This is woman, this is man. And so now the question is, all right, now we're going to go in this non-binary world. We're going to kind of float back and forth. So at what point in time does she change? And hang on, I need do you mind? Can I? Just so you introduce yourself. So what's your name?
Amy?
Amy.
Yeah.
Okay, Amy. So here. Now, so come down here. So stand right behind Lexi. So same thing. They have the same body, okay? Same reproductive organs, same everything. All right? But now at what point in time, what does Amy change? What moves Amy down here? What's going to happen? What does she do to move down here? Like, what would move her here? And then what would she have to do to move? So you don't mind if I just keep moving you? We're good? She's moving down here. What happens with Amy to move down here? And what would happen with Amy to move all the way down here and to be not Amy anymore, but be Andrew? And how close can she get to Juan to be like really? And can she, one more, I'm going to keep moving you, all right? And can you get here? Can she ever get here? Can she get here? So we're now doing the binary stuff. Okay, can she ever get here? So she actually becomes a man. It's like, how close can she get to be men? Okay, so we're going to go back, right? So now we're going to put her right in the center. So here's Amy right in the center. What puts her right in the center? So we're talking about bodies. This isn't about what she's dressed like, right? Because if we take Amy back 60 years, she's dressed like a man. She's dressed like a boy. She's masculine. And she would, if you were here at Penn State, there would be teachers who would tell you to go home and put a dress on, right? But so you're very masculine in the way you dress. But not anymore. We changed that. So she's just human in the way she's dressing. She's just a college student. But we're talking about sex. We're talking about biology. So here she is in the center. So what moves her from there to here? So once again, right? We're going to go back here. So she is the same as Lexi, and now we're going to start to move her. Is it just in her mind? If Amy just decides like, hey, I'm not here anymore. I'm not a woman like this anymore. I'm not really into this binary bullshit. Like, I just don't want to see myself as a woman. So I'm going to start calling myself something else. I'm going to just think about this differently. It's not going to be he, she. What if I want to be both? So come walk around. I'm continue to walk you around. You're cool with that, right? So I want to be. Actually, I just want to see myself in the center, and I'm going to be they, them, or I'm going to be maybe I'm going to be here, and I'm going to be she, they, or she, them, or maybe I'm going to go down here, and I'm actually going to be he, them, and the them is an indication of both. Them is actually really cool. By the way, this idea that someone says, hey, I'm not really into this, the whole gender, feminine, masculine, we don't have a way to do the feminine, masculine thing about being both, but we do have a term when it comes to sex, biological sex, and we often use it for gender, and we say they, them, and they means, if Amy says they, then what that means is both Juan and Lexi. Like, I'm going to take all this stuff on, and on top of it, I'm even going to be bi. And so I'm going to be so totally, I'm going to be they, them, bi, and like I got it all. And that is awesome. Because basically kind of what you're saying is, yeah, I don't want to get stuck down here at all. And I don't want to get stuck down there. I'm just going to kind of be here. But the issue is this. So Amy, we're going to do it again. The issue is, when does Amy get to say something other than, I'm a she? When does she get to say that? What has to happen for her to say, nah, I'm not here anymore, I'm here, and I don't know. I don't want to be she anymore. I don't want to be locked into that. I want to go into the they, them thing. When does she get to say that? What does she have to do? What does Amy, I'm not even going to say she, what does Amy have to do to allow her to say, don't call me a she anymore? Then I'm going the non-binary route. Does she have to change her physical body? Can she just in her mind decide? Does she have to have surgery? Does she have to cut her hair off? Does she have to change her name to more of what would be a boy's name? Like, Amy, what do you think you have to do to be standing right there? What do you think you would have to do?
I mean, and I feel like in a perfect world, like I wouldn't have to do anything really because that's my decision. But obviously people would want you to look a certain way or sound a certain way.
So what do you mean you're okay, yes, people. Why do
Yeah.
you think people want that?
Just so, I guess because like it's easier for people to like identify you because people have been like grown or like taught to like for example like what you said, like how I'm dressed, like people think, oh, it's more masculine, so she probably identifies like, you know, to be more masculine.
Yeah.
But not necessarily. So yeah, like how you said, I could like cut my hair shorter as like a guy would do, if I wouldn't, you know.
Okay,
wanna be.
so in a perfect world, you would be able to just make that decision and say like, oh, yeah, whatever, I'm not a she anymore. I'm a they or a them or a whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm going to push back on that. And in a perfect world, that's just really confusing. You know what I mean? Like for me, I'm 61 years old. I got to say this. I didn't grow. Little kids right now, they're 6 and 7 and 8-year-olds. They completely get this they-them stuff. For them, it's just like, are you with me on that? Are you with me, Juan, on that? Like, the little kids, they get it. It's just like they-them. Yeah, they get it. They're classmates. Oh, yeah, that's so-and-so. They are a they, not a she. And I've been learning the English language for 61 years, y'all. It does not come easy to me. I see Lexi, I see a she. Or I see Amy and I see a she. But if you are just like, oh, I'm not a she, I'm a they. I'm like, oh, God, mind blown. Like, all right, on the basis, then my question is going to be on the basis of what? And you said, well, in a kind of perfect world, you could just say on the basis of I just want to be identified that way.
Yeah.
And that's really confusing. And people are going to push back against that because it's like, well, you can't just, you can. Mm-hmm. I could just identify as black. I'm like 1.7% sub-Saharan African. So I could just be like, well, I'm 1.7% sub-Saharan African. So, yeah, I'm black. Whatever. And you could say, hang on, come back over here. You could say, I'm clearly a woman. There's no difference between me and Lexi. But you know what? I'm not into this binary thing. Just like Sam is going to say he's black because he's 1.7%. I'm going to say like, yeah, I'm non-binary. Don't call me a woman. I'm a they and a them. Right? You see?
Yeah.
Then what's the difference between you right there and then you keep coming out all the way down here? You're still a they and a them. Mm-hmm. Now you've made that determination. You were a they, Amy, when you were down here, and you're a they when you're down there. But like what puts you down here you're never gonna get here unless you have some kind of surgery or something's gonna happen. You're gonna have to be here. You're gonna have to alter your physical body somehow because you got to get closer to being like Juan.
Right.
Right? Mm-hmm. This is the nature of it, right? You don't get from there. Amy doesn't get from there to here without some kind of alteration in her body. Now, at what point in time, how much of her body does she have to alter for any of us? Here, Amy, come right back here in the center, right? Or actually, come back over here. So people who struggle with this, how much of her body does she have to change? Does she have to alter for any of us to sit back and say, oh yeah, Amy is not a she anymore. I see Amy as more of a they, or I see Amy as more of a he. So if you walk this way, how much does she have to change in her body to be a he? Because right here, Amy can say, I'm a he. And I'm like, all right, whatever, you're a he. Just like I could say I'm black. And you'd be like, all right, whatever, I'm black. There's going to be a lot of pushback against me saying that. But there's going to be a lot of pushback against her saying that I'm a he, when in fact she hasn't done anything other than in her mind decide she's a he. So what does she have to do to make it acceptable to say like, yeah, I'm a he, and we're getting closer and closer to one, and she's a he, and then so at what point do you say like, oh, she's definitely a he? Like top surgery, let's say she has top surgery. So top surgery for her would mean removing her breasts. Bottom surgery for her would be like, yeah, you got to create some kind of bottom surgery could be lots of different things, by the way, but one bottom surgery could be like, well, you're going to be more like a guy, so we can't create testicles, right? And she's never going to make sperm, but we could fashion some kind of penis out of her clitoris and all of her appendages. Yeah, we could probably work that out. It's going to be really small, but we could do that. Dude, are you comfortable with that conversation?
We would.
Yeah, never. All right, you're good. All right. So then she's going to, so at what point in time then is she, like, we're going to say, like, all right, she's a guy. Because I can show you photos of, I have lots of former students who have transitioned, who like, you would absolutely in a million years never have any idea that they used to be a man or used to be a woman. Okay? Are you cool?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's interesting, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Like you can think about this.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so here. All right, thanks, man. Thanks, Amy. Hey, thanks to Amy. All right, okay, so listen. So, dude. And so for me, as a man, what do I have to do? If I'm going to say, yeah, I'm in this non-binary world, and I'm going to be a they and a them, or I'm actually thinking of transitioning, and now I'm going to start to slowly refer to myself as a woman and not a man, right? So like, I've had many people in my life who've been in this transition who I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, you're a guy, you're a cisgender man, but you're going to transition to a woman, and like, you take that first step, and then you take another step, and I'm still calling you he. And then you take another step, and I'm like, yeah, but I'm like having a hard time with the he thing because I'm not really seeing it. But I'm going to help you. Let's work with it. Let's play with it. Let's use he for you. Let's see how it works. And this is me going back 40 years, y'all. I've been my first experience with people who transitioned is 45 years ago, right? So I'm like, all right, we'll work it, right? I have this great story of a friend who was transitioning. First she was a lesbian, then she decided she wasn't a lesbian, and I knew that she was struggling, so I had her go listen to a woman who had been M to F, male to female, and transitioned over, and I said, you got to go hear this person talk, and because this is, in my mind, I'm like, this is where you're headed, right? And so she was still a she. The next day after the talk, she comes to meet me, and she's like, man, my whole world just blew open. I see my path, and I'm like, yeah, I knew that was your path. So she told her parents. The good news is they were very Christian. The good news is I'm no longer a lesbian. The better news is instead of a daughter, now you have a son, because I feel like this is my path. So, we work with, the male, Lori and I work with male pronouns with her, like him, and say like, all right, we're going to use him. And it just worked. It was just like, oh, it felt really good. But the kicker, and I love telling this story, is one day, he was leaving town, and we were mostly never making mistakes, but once in a while we'd make a mistake. We were at our apartment, and the three of us it was really hot. It was like 90 degrees in the apartment. We were drinking beers, right? And we were, so he was, sitting in a chair like this, and I was sitting back like this. I had my shirt off, and because it was so hot. And Lori looks at him, and as he's sitting there like this, and she says, hey, you can take your shirt off if you're a guy. Like, whatever, it's fine. Because he was for sure gonna transition, but hadn't transitioned. Dude, so he's like, yeah, all right. Takes his shirt off, takes his sports bra off, which he had been wearing forever. He was a student athlete here at Penn State, and but just holding his breasts back so no one would see his breasts. Even when I first met him, so this is what he was really working with. Took his sports bra off, and had really huge breasts. And I'm like, oh, fuck. And it was just like, he had these breasts. So here's this guy who's a guy. He was sitting there drinking his beer like guys drink a beer. Dudes, like you drink a beer, you know what I mean? Just like, yeah, what the fuck, I'll take another beer. Yeah, whatever, right? He was sitting there like that, but with two breasts hanging down from his body that we had never seen because he had been wearing sports bras his whole life. And Lori and I looked at him and we were like, dude, you are a guy, we will never ever make that mistake again because you are so clearly a guy. God, take those things off as quickly as possible. Like, he was so clearly a guy. And it wasn't until we saw his breasts that we knew how just bizarre it was. Get those, remove those. And then that idea that he had been here until he came out as a lesbian and then stayed here, and then finally was like, nah, we're going to go here. So now he's about no surgeries, no nothing. And then suddenly in that moment, we said, dude, you're here. You're not here. You probably, this right here, this is for those of you who are dealing with this issue of sex and biology of sex. This right here is for men who have the body parts like Juan and like me. You're born as a man, you have testicles, you have a penis, you have this, you have that, you're just a man, right? This friend of ours is not going to be here, right? I mean, I schooled him. We had a long conversation about what it's like to have a penis and like, oh my God, like, he's like, well, tell me, I just want to know, like, what happens and like, whatever you do, you get caught between your legs and your testicles and what is it, all sorts of shit. It was a really, really cool conversations, but he's here. And if you met him, you'd be like, oh, you never in a million years think that this man was anything other than a man, but he's not here. He's here, and he's a man. He's no less a man, but he's here. So the people in the community would say, yeah, okay. But then he's had surgeries to get here. Okay, cool? Okay, let's go with our next. Can we have our next volunteer? Can two of you just stay up here for a hot minute? Do you mind just hanging out? Okay. Can I have our 3 volunteers? So you can sit on the table, and I am going to. Okay, here. I'm going to take that. Hey, is it awkward to it? Are you awkward at all just hanging out here?
No,
It's kind of fun to see what's happening. All right, man. What's that?
We rearranged ourselves.
Oh, yeah. You
Masculine presenting to female presenting.
All right, man. So introduce. So how do you? So we'll start with you, Gabe. How do you identify?
I identify as he, they.
He, they. So non-binary. What does that mean? Like, walk us through. Like,
So I think there's a lot of ways that you can define it. For a lot of people, it just is like the observance that, gender is not exactly like female or masculine or, there's a line that you can be on. For me, it's just that I don't perform my gender in exactly the complete masculine way. So
Yep.
kind of like you talking about earlier, how somebody can be right here. I kind of sit right here. Not
Yep.
really completely masculine, completely male, but not towards they, them, or she, they.
so your gender is really fluid. You can kind of go back and forth, but mostly you're down here. Yeah, it's like me. Like I would wear, by the way, I would wear pink. I don't know did I show that photo of me when I was a little kid? I had pink, jumper. I can wear pink. I can wear whatever. I do all sorts of whatever, Okay, so, but are you straight or are you, so let's go down these. So what's your sexual orientation?
I'm gay.
So you are gay.
Mm-hmm.
Gay, gender, not bi at all? Are you like straight up gay? Like,
No, I'm like full gay.
full gay? All right. So, but in gender-wise, you're really fluid, right? And so, and in terms of biological sex,
Man, born male.
man. And so when you say non-binary, you're not really at the level of sex. You're really at the level, much more gender for
Yeah.
you. Okay, so you don't see yourself in terms of your biology. You're comfortable in your body. You're going to have this body. It's going to be where you're going to be.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, bro. Cole,
Hello.
you got it. So how about you?
I'm Cole. I identify as he, him. I am gay, and yeah, I just kind of express myself in any way that I want to on any given day.
But there's one thing that's different between you and Gabe. Like you do drag.
I dabble in the arts of being a drag queen.
Yeah. So what's that mean for those who don't?
So for me, I see it as a form of entertainment where it's the art of female impersonation. You put on full face of makeup, you dress in feminine-esque clothes, but it's like this hyper feminine embodiment that you're trying to create. It's like an alternate identity or an alternate persona, but it's not truly like myself. Like I don't aspire to be my drag persona.
What's your
It's just
What's your
something-
drag name?
That's been a work in progress. Currently, I've been thinking of midwife crisis.
Midwife crisis. Dude, have you performed? I mean, do you perform locally? Have you?
I've been trying to. I was going to be in the campus group Opulence this semester, but Organic Chem Lab kind of interfered with that, unfortunately. But next semester, I definitely will be.
So when you say how Lexi is dressed right here, that would never fly for a
No,
drag
that's not drag.
queen. Yeah. Okay, all right, I got you. So wait, so being drag, so bro, no, I'm asking. So you're not. Have you ever thought about doing drag?
I thought about it, but I wouldn't be good at it.
You wouldn't be good,
Yeah.
dude.
Should have seen me when I first tried.
That's T.
Okay, so what's the difference between the two of you, though? Like what? So we're looking at. So you're not. Okay, so hang on a sec, right? So Cole. So you're down. So you're a guy, right? I mean, sexually, biologically, both of you are men. But you have moments when you kind of step out of your male status. You still say he, she. You don't. You say them, they. You still say he, right? He, him. But yet you're stepping out sociologically, engaging in this sociological experience of doing drag, and yet you're very much here. Like you haven't moved at all along this continuum, right? Yeah. Huh. Okay. Virginia, how about you?
Hi. I guess my pronouns are like she, they, and
She, they. Okay, I want to come back. What? Okay, well, hang on, we'll come back to that. Go
Okay.
ahead.
I don't remember this. What do I identify as?
Yeah, like, so going down here, are you
down the
straight?
list.
Are you-
I'd say bi or / pan. Like they're kind of the same to me. So
bi and pan, bi or
I know they're
pan?
not the same, but
No,
yeah,
explain pan to those of
Okay.
us who don't know.
pan. I could do okay. So bisexuality is you're attracted to your gender
Yep.
and any other gender. Okay. Whereas pan, I believe, is you don't see gender, or like you don't really doesn't really affect you. Like
So
how
you could be really attracted to drag queens, for example, right? Because
Sure.
here's this guy Cole who's gender bending, right? And he's like going, yeah, I'm going to step out as a queen, and you could be like, as someone who's pansexual, you could be like, yeah, man, that really kind of turns me. I'm really
at
into
first
drag
glance,
queens.
maybe.
Like whatever it is.
Yeah, but so that's where I think pan kind of differentiates it in the sense where it's like, that doesn't really matter at first glance. Doesn't
Got
matter. It's
you.
more of like if I like you, I like you.
Yeah.
And that's it.
So this goes kind of what Sophia was saying in
Yeah.
a way, right? There's a way in which pan is this way. Because listen, so here's the thing. Maybe any of you can add anything onto this. The thing is, you all, right? Let's say I'm gonna transition. So I'm Juan and I are twin sons of different mothers. We're both men. We both have all of the male equipment. It's all good, right? We're good? And I decide, hey, I'm going to start to transition. And then things start to happen. And let's say that I start dressing so like you, bro, I start, just trying out some, drag is when it's really extreme, right? Do you ever just like dress? Do you ever do like partial drag just for the fun of it? Yeah, dude, yeah. Yeah, you're right. Dude, oh, damn, all right. We got to get a shot of that here really fast. All right, so look, yeah, your fingernails, right? Okay. Can you get a shot of his fingernails? So what's the do you ever do your fingernails, bro?
Yeah, normally during the summers and stuff.
Yeah? What's that? So walk me through this partial drag.
I just like the colors. I like the way I look when I dress like this. When I wear just like plain pants and a t-shirt and nothing else, I just feel like naked. I don't know. I just feel like I want to add more to it to just express myself more.
Mm-hmm. And when you do your nails, similar thing?
Yeah, generally. Just adds a little flair.
Adds flair.
Yeah.
Yep. And same with makeup and stuff?
Yeah, sometimes I'll wear makeup like on a daily basis if I'm feeling it, but I don't have to every day.
Mm-hmm.
It's just whenever.
Yep. Okay. So, I got you, man. It's just like me. I wake up and I decide to wear one thing or another. Virginia, let me ask this question. So, what kind of men are you attracted to? Talk into the mic.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know.
Have you had enough time to really?
No, like trial and error.
How about women? Like just in your mind, what do you see yourself?
I think the reason I'm struggling to answer the question is because I never go out looking for like a certain person.
Yep.
So it's like I haven't really thought, like they all kind of need to have like the same requirements. Like I can't separate the two, like for like what am I looking for in a man, what am I looking for in a woman? Because I believe like I'm looking for the same thing.
So for you, so if we go like to what Sophia said, there's
Yeah.
also like a part of a personality. And the reason I'm asking this
Yeah.
is because, listen, there's the what we identify as, so we have woman, we have maybe a little more feminine. Like you would be classically gender identity more feminine, right? This the way you are, right? And you, bro, are definitely, compared to Cole here, you're definitely more masculine, okay? So the reason I'm asking is like, well, but as someone who would identify as pansexual, you got this whole continuum right here, right? And it, like for women, you might be attracted, the women I'm attracted to are more kind of butchy or something. They're more like, I like more masculine women, or I really like more feminine women. Like, I don't know, like, you know what I mean? This is where this stuff gets so incredibly complex.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to ask one more. I'm going to say one more
Yeah.
thing. Because, for example, this is what I was going to say earlier. If I start transitioning as a guy, and I start moving along, and I start doing hormone therapy, and, so I'm losing the hair on my body. I'm now starting to dress in a more, what we would identify as more female ways. And like, I'm just starting to move along. Who am I going to be attracted to? And if I'm here in the middle, right? I'm neither now, I'm a they, them. I'm not fully a guy anymore because I'm taking hormones. I'm shaving my body. I'm starting to dress a little bit more like women dress, but I don't effing know how women dress anymore because the two of you are dressed. You're dressed the same as him, and you're dressed the same as him. So I don't even know what that is. But let me say I play with it, right? And then at what point in time if I'm attracted, I was a guy, I'm now a they, them, and if I'm attracted to women, does that make me gay? Or if I'm attracted to guys, am I straight? Like, who am I? I'm transitioning. So you see what I mean? I'm going to have to be with somebody. So who am I going to be with? Right? So that's why I'm asking that question. Do you have any more thoughts? Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
I don't know why you're looking at me.
Like, who do you tend to be attracted to?
All right, so this is a little shady, but my roommate always says I'm attracted to myself. So Like every time I'll be like, oh, look at this guy. She'll be like, wow, he looks like you. And so
Dude, at least you could have a very active sex life.
yes,
that way.
treat.
Yeah.
But yeah,
You're never
generally,
disappointed.
more masculine presenting people is who I'm more attracted to.
More masculine presenting. Bro, how about you?
I'm kind of the same situation of people say that I kind of date myself. Sometimes more masculine, but I also love it when like guys don't get held back by the binaries of society and they just do whatever they want.
Have you ever dated another drag queen?
No, I haven't had many encounters with any other drag queens. I come from a very small town.
Oh, right, okay. But if you did, and the two drag queens went on a date, would you then, well, how would that be? That's kind of wild. That would be pretty cool, right?
To like go out on a date in drag?
Yeah, with another queen.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah, dude, it would be awesome, man. One. How about you? Like, is there anything that we're talking about up here that just like you want to
I
add
guess,
anything to?
Yeah, I'm like attracted like to like I guess like I don't care though if they're like feminine or masculine. I guess like for me, but like they don't have to be women. Like that's the only like criteria. I guess they can be women. That's the only point I guess. And also I think like I guess gender like could be like a construct because you don't know what's feminine and masculine.
Yeah.
You can't be sure I think.
We don't even know what is feminine and masculine anymore. But one of the arguments, so I want to see if you all can weigh in, if any of you can weigh in on this. So one of the arguments right now, one of the things we're struggling with is that increasingly, as people identify as non-binary like you, right? And do you say non-binary or do you just say pansexual? Non-binary. I don't remember.
Oh, non-binary. Those are two
Non-binary.
different things.
Yeah,
to
I
me,
know.
so-
Right, exactly. Okay. So the more you say that, the more and more people who are starting to say, I'm in this world of gender conformity. I don't want to do the conformity thing. I want to be in gender non-conformity. So I don't want to be, like you're comfortable being a woman. Like you're just fine. You're being feminine, being a woman, whatever. You're comfortable with that, right? Okay? So, but increasingly, especially little kids who are all looking for some kind of identity, are saying like, yeah, I don't want to really identify one way or another, and they say I'm non-binary. But what does that mean, right? What's it mean? Are we just talking gender? If we're just talking gender, then we're all non-binary, basically, because there's like men. So if we go, all we got to do is go back in time a little bit. Every man in here does some jobs or does some things that were traditionally women's work. And every woman in here wears slacks at some point in your life, and we can go back in time. So there's just a way in which it's like there's always a fluid thing. But when we're talking about this, all of this non-binary stuff, and everybody's like their signatures and stuff, it's like he, they, or they, them, or he, she, or we, us, or fuck, whatever it is, like however you do it, it's like, what happens is, it's like everyone's sort of in on this, but what are we really talking about? Because the major one is biology, right? Do you have something?
Well, I think the biggest thing is you have to differentiate the difference between gender identity and gender performance.
Okay.
And so, like...
Can you differentiate
Yeah,
that?
so, like, for example, today, when we're talking about gender identity, he identifies as he, him, I identify as he, they. That's gender identity. That is how we perceive ourselves. But if you were to ask this entire room, who is more likely, like just looking at us, who's going to be the he, they, and who's going to be the he, him? Most likely people would say that I would be the he, him just because I'm dressing stereotypically masculine. I got those wide shoulders. Like I just am perceivable as a guy. And so I think it's one of those things where, it's all dependent on who you're talking to and questioning how you perceive those people. So like, I will always be perceived as a guy. That's just, I present very masculine and I'm okay with that because I go by he, they. But, when he's doing drag, a lot of drag queens will go by she because they are performing as a woman during that time and then they come back. So I think it's not necessarily, where's the line, at what point do you officially become a they, them or a she? It's how do people perceive that person?
How do they perceive, and then how do we present, like what we want to say? And by the way, if people mess it up and say he, him for you, like, you're cool with that, right? Like,
Oh yeah, most people don't even know that I go by he, they, because it's still he, so.
yeah, like people have this idea, like they don't want to like insult people, right? And so it's like, dude, just don't get over that. Don't worry about it, right? But, it would be a problem if you got pissed because people were assuming you were a he, him. But like, you can't get pissed because we don't know if you don't tell us, right?
Yeah.
Virginia, were you gonna say something?
Oh, I was just gonna say that his experiences are very like almost exactly like mine. It's like that's why I say she, they, because I know that I'll always be perceived as a black woman. It's like no matter what I do, even as much, it's kind of inescapable. So that's kind of like why it's like she, they. The they is more for me.
It's more for you.
Yeah.
To just really sort of put yourself out there in this way.
Yeah.
And Cole, for you, as someone who you have a drag persona. And can you explain how complex it is to have a drag persona? Like, it's a big deal to step into that persona. You got to be that.
I mean, it takes a lot of work to put together, but it's all about it's kind of like you're turning into a separate person that you can go out and just act as something that you normally are, and have society perceive you as something. And it just like unlocks this whole world of things that you wouldn't normally be acceptable to do. But here's where the social justice warrior in me wants to say that we just like bash the system, cis spelled C-I-S, and just do whatever the fuck you want. Like no one cares.
Yeah. Yeah, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But then but at the same time, understand the complexities of it, right? But by the way, I understand why you would use he, him, because you can't mess up the drag. Like when you step into persona, like you're a different person when you're in drag. So you can't be like, oh, I'm he, she, whatever. It's like, no, I'm he, him. But when I step into drag, I'm her, she.
I mean, that's also, drag is a very fluid art too. Like a lot of drag queens can go by, like, there are drag kings, there are drag queens. There can also be like kind of like a non-binary equivalent of drag where you just like perform. It's all about just extravagance and camp, exactly.
It's campy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. Hey, so I think this is a final statement. Hey, by the way, do you have any final thoughts before I make a final thought?
I did have a thought.
Go ahead.
Earlier, the thing, it says, for sex, it says men and women. And I feel like you should change that to male and female, because men and women, that's an experience, the social, like how you're perceived. So for you to put it in biology, I don't think that's correct.
Well, it's only because I did the biology piece, because that's the thing that we really also struggle with, right? Like it's like there is like what our bodies are.
Yeah, male and female.
Male. Yeah, but increasingly what I'm finding is people are saying man, woman. Like so I used to say male, female, but everyone seems to say man, woman, and so I'm just like.
I was just going to say as well to the sex part, yes, obviously man and woman is the normal, but there are people that are born biologically with both female reproductive and male reproductive parts, and with neither. There's intersex people as well biologically.
Yeah, intersex people as well, who have body parts of both man and woman. Yeah. Hey, hang on, everybody. 1 second. Wait, before you put that up there. Hey, class, can we give a round of applause to y'all? You guys rock. Bro, can you come here? Wait, can you sit up next to him? I got to get a shot of your pants. All right, go ahead.
Bro, is that a mushroom you're in?
Dude. Hang on, actually. I got to get that. Dude, awesome, man. Hey, thanks, guys. Dude, you're killing it. He has cooler shoes, though, bro.
That's camp. I mean, cool. You got a sick vibe, man. The mushroom earring, the weed